Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here, this time reviewing on issue 3 of the Villains micro-series Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this one is on the story of Old Hob. Now, the best way I can describe Old Hob is that he's like the cat version of Tiger Claw from the 2012 TMNT cartoon. Both of them are kind of like characters with their own sort of redemption, both kind of meant to be sort of evil for a reason, and both characters have that potential for redemption, but it's how I think the writers tend to handle their sort of character development. And here we've got the cover of Old Hobbs looking all menacing, and let's get on with the story. It starts off with Old Hob looking over New York saying, "You know what a problem is? Humans. See, you never had much dealing with them, and that's good. You ain't never probably seen nobody's pet. And with good reason. I mean, look at ya. Ain't exactly warm and cuddly." And we see how Old Hobbs sort of describes his past. Back then, yeah, he was a normal house cat, being looked after by his human owner, and both of them were inseparable, until one day, Billy's mum says, "Billy, get your lazy butt in here." And you can definitely tell from Billy's mum's perspective that, obviously, if you're a single mum working a sort of dead-end job as a diner waitress, and expect your kid to be responsible, and gave them a pet with responsibility, understandably, you are going to have your limits. And from Billy's mum's perspective, this was more like, "I've had enough, you aren't going to keep that cat anymore." And of course, throws Hob out into the cold environment. And I know this is meant to be cruel, but you can't help but kind of see from her point that obviously you expect to look after your pet, you've got to live with the consequences. And of course, Old Hob had to learn to defend for himself, had to learn a hard lesson that the real world isn't exactly going to be friendly, and of course had to kind of toughen himself up to be a tough cat. Until he tried to go for his next meal, the Ninja Turtles, when they were baby turtles, ended up getting his eyes sort of gouged out, and we see how right away Old Hobbs saying, "I don't know how it was for you. I know they stuck in ya with needles, so maybe it was different. And hey, I ain't looking for a shoulder to cry on here." And we see how he mentions how because he got hit by the mutagen, courtesy of Splinter, he ended up getting mutated. And of course, became a sort of mutant-like cat. And also heard from Stockman and the other scientists what they were looking for. And of course, to them, this was a goldmine idea. They run tests on Hobbs, see what he's worth, and do questionable experiments. And we see right away Old Hobbs seeing that the mutagen, its effects, and how he can be this ace card to them, and wants to sort of settle the score with Splinter, much like a hunter with his prey. And we see how obviously Old Hobbs tries to sort of get on Stockman's good side, pointing out his usefulness. And again, Old Hob knows this and wants to kind of play on Stockman's good cards. And of course, plays the whole sort of, "I'll be the whole yes man to you." So of course, has to kind of play it cool until, yeah, ends up wanting to get into a fight. And of course, we see right away, he ends up getting motivated, gets more gangs to join him, and enjoys fighting, causing problems and massacre. And him saying, "I went back to the lab to show Banks that I meant business. I wanted him to see it, to see me and my boss. He needed to know his days of poking at me, putting needles on the damn hamster wheel were over." "No more pain?" "That's right, big guy. No more pain. Our days of being lab rats are over, you understand?" Of course, points out, obviously, after what happened with the Ninja Turtles, and still wanting to get even with Splinter, caused his team and that to sort of be defeated numerous of times, and this is where obviously this caused old Hob to realise that his obsessions and that was what caused him to sort of fall behind. And of course, Stockman, wanting to clear up loose ends, tried to kill off old Hobbs until he woke up and used a mutant canister to try and save himself. And of course, try to sort out Splinter. And we see right away old Hobbs saying at the end, and this whole city is gonna shake with fear when they see what's gonna coming next. You got 2 minutes before we better judgment kicks in, old Hobbs. Didn't think you'd show up. No, not now. We got business with these bars. And of course, setting up the next issue, issue 23. And this is the story. So here, I feel like it's the average run-of-the-mill storyline, making it how obviously old Hobbs is like the warning of becoming something stronger, something far worse, and more deadlier from what humanity made you into. And it feels like one of those stories that's obviously meant to show how old Hobbs and his team are meant to be mirror counterparts to Splinter and the Ninja Turtles and the Purple Dragons, and is there to be an average run-of-the-mill storyline. Kind of alright, kind of okay, but does nothing really big, spectacular, and epic. Is just there to do another villain micro-series, throwing in a new Ninja Turtles villain, who's obviously meant to be Han, but as a cat. So it definitely deserves a thumbs in the middle. Kind of alright, kind of okay, but there's there to be an average run-of-the-mill storyline. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.